Hello guys, welcome to a brand new Kerbal Space Program series called KSP Wayfinders. It's a 2.5 times scale Galileo's Planet Pack science playthrough with the gradual progression tech tree, which completely redoes the tech tree. And without further ado, let us begin KSP Wayfinders. So the very first mission we're going to be doing is sending a sounding rocket up into the atmosphere. Now, these parts are from USI Sounding Rockets, which is a soft dependency of the gradual progression tech tree, which basically redoes the entire tech tree in order to make it a little bit, more gradual progression, and also it makes some tech nodes more expensive, like you need more science to unlock, say, nuclear or antimatter or far future propulsion, but makes other tech nodes cheaper, like you don't have to spend like 2,000 science just to get bigger fuel tanks. Now, since I don't have any form of stability assist right now, with the primitive science I have to spin stabilize this rocket, which basically involves twisting the fins on the bottom just a little bit so it starts spinning. Because if it spins, it actually tends to be a bit more stable, so it doesn't tip over. Now, I didn't actually have any science experiments unlocked when I first launched this rocket, but thankfully it turns out that when you recover a spacecraft, you actually get a small bonus of science depending on where it's been. So if you've been like interstellar, you end up getting like a whole lot of science just by recovering it. So thankfully, by recovering this rocket, I get 4 science, which thankfully is enough to buy a whole lot of tech nodes, since all the first ones you unlock in a gradual progression, they only cost 1 science. Another thing about gradual progression is that it kind of like separates certain technologies. Like instead of unlocking all the endgame far future technology engines in one tech node, it actually separates them, which I find to be a really great thing to do, because I feel like that is one big issue of Community Tech Tree, how it has the Frisbee antimatter engine in the same tech node as the nuclear saltwater rockets. Well, the 5 meter one, not the 2.5 meter one, but I feel like it's a gradual progression. It's a better tech tree than the Community Tech Tree. My main gripe with it is its compatibility, because a whole lot of parts mods are incompatible with the tech tree and end up getting put in the lost and found node. Basically, is a one science tech node that has a bunch of parts that haven't been assigned proper tech nodes. However, fortunately, a whole lot of mods are incompatible, like OPT space playing. So what I did was I made configs for those mods so that they're compatible. So that technically makes me a Kerbal Space Program modder, which is pretty cool, I must say. I mean, they're not perfect configs. I might want to tweak them about a little bit more just to make sure that they're balanced. But I believe all the parts, except for some OBT part upgrades, are properly put in their tech nodes. There are some mods that I have on here that aren't properly configured, but don't worry, I won't be using like some nuclear thermal rocket from Rational Resources when I'm still launching sounding rockets, just because that'd be really like cheating. At least sounding rockets are actually pretty fun to fly. They can't like go many places, but it's still kind of fun to see a little rocket just go up high and just then come back down. You know, this episode actually has a whole lot of missions because these sounding rocket missions are very short, and we actually will be achieving orbit later this episode with some primitive probes that won't be for quite a bit. Now, I should also mention I did get Blue Dog Design Bureau, which basically is a mod that adds a whole lot of parts. In fact, the whole reason why I didn't put this mod in Resurgence is because of part bloat, but basically adds a bunch of realistic-ish parts that are supposed to mimic the spacecraft that NASA built, like the Saturn V, the Saturn 1B, like Redstone, Mercury, Gemini, even a bunch of other lesser-known rockets constructed back during the space race. It's kind of a soft dependency of gradual progression, just because it's kind of built around that mod. So that's why I decided to get it. Now, this sounding rocket was able to get into space, but unfortunately, those science experiments do not work in a vacuum, so I wasn't able to get any space data from them. Now, what's even worse is that I wasn't actually able to successfully recover this sounding rocket, because because we went so high, we actually ended up landing really, really hard. And I was afraid we'd explode in the atmosphere, but thankfully we didn't. But we're going too fast to be able to safely deploy the parachute. So we ended up exploding in the fog, and Pencil 3 was no more. By the way, I'm have a naming convention with these sounding rockets. I call them the pencil rockets. Later rockets, I'm gonna have the naming convention be based off of the planetary bodies from Galileo's planet pack. I think that'll be like a pretty good idea. Now, I'm gonna try to like nerf the Pencil 3 for the Pencil 4 design, just so it's able to go into space, or at least very close to it, and not explode. Now, for some reason, it kept tipping over despite being spin stabilized. This happened not once, not twice, but 3 times if I recall correctly. So eventually I did swap out those little fins in the bottom for some really, really big ones from USI sounding rockets. Just because I was really getting fed up with this. I mean, it still flew straight, at least for a little bit, because this rocket did end up tipping over and went on a very, very inclined trajectory. Thankfully, it was able to regain control to an extent, but it will not be reaching space. But it will be going to the oceans, which is a new biome I haven't really explored with these sounding rocket experiments. And I consider that better than going to space, because these experiments do not work there, so I suppose that this might be the better option. I mean, I will unlock some experiments that will work in a vacuum, like the stock thermometer and the barometer, sooner than later. I might already have them unlocked at this point, I just can't remember. Once again, we make another happy landing in the ocean. Hopefully these electronics are waterproof. I have to go back to the research and development to unlock all the parts I need for future missions, especially those stock experiments that can work in a vacuum. Now, the next rocket I'm going to make will be the Pencil 5, which will be able to go to space and return. This is our space agency's biggest mission yet. Hopefully it will actually work. I do believe this mission went well. I can revert flights in this save. I mean, I originally wanted to like do a career playthrough with this, but I feel like doing a career mode with Strategia at 2.5 scale is a little difficult. Especially since the Space Center is actually not in an equatorial position, it will actually end up launching to space at a rather inclined position. So some contracts I had to rendezvous with something. I actually ended up having to do a really expensive inclination change, and I felt like that wouldn't be feasible with 2.5 times scale. So it's just a regular science playthrough. I really would like to do a career-based playthrough with like a smaller planet pack. And Galileo's planet pack is by no means small. It's just I'm not really planning to add any interstellar planet packs. I mean, I definitely could if I wanted to, like, maybe expand it if I wanted to increase the lifespan of this series. Who knows, maybe this could become the interstellar KSP Promised Worlds playthrough we've all been waiting for. But considering the nature of Galileo's planet pack, compatibility with volumetric clouds and all that, I'm not sure if it exactly work out, just because you have to kind of like butcher the game files of a bunch of other mods just to be able to install the compatibility patches. So maybe it won't work. Now, thankfully, with all that science we've gathered, I'm able to buy a whole lot of Technos, because they're actually pretty cheap. Now, this is the, I believe it's the Icarus 1, which is named after Icarus, the first planet in Galileo's planet pack. It's called Icarus because it's flying super close to its parent star, which I believe is called Zero, if I recall correctly. Now, this is a rather small rocket, powered by 6 solid rocket I can't talk today. 6 solid rocket motors and a single peroxide rocket. Now, I am playing with Kerbal Technologies, which unfortunately isn't compatible with Blue Dog Design Bureau. Well, it kind of is, except the fuel tanks won't work because they still use liquid fuel and oxidizer. I mean, all the Hydrolox engines are correctly assigned to use hydrogen and oxygen. The nuclear ones are fine, but like all the other engines, they're just bundled into the blanket term of using kerosene and high-test peroxide. which thankfully I believe might be realistic for them, since a whole lot of these engines might have used kerosene and high test peroxide. It's kind of jank, but it'll eventually work. Now, I think this might actually be our first shot at orbit, and I think this is our first orbital mission. Now, I still do not have SAS of any kind, because I don't have any probe tech yet that actually has SAS. The best probe I got is the stock Sputnik satellite probe core, so unfortunately we have to kind of like drunkenly fly through space just to get into an orbit. Now thankfully this satellite is able to reach orbit and actually go a little further just to go space high around Gale, which is the this home world of the Kerbals with Galileo's planet pack. Oh, another thing I should mention, they're not called Kerbals with Galileo's planet pack, they're called Galians instead, and it even changes their last name from Kerman to Galian. Even like takes Jebediah Kerman and all the other Kerbals and removes them and replaces them with other astronauts, which I actually believe are based off of the developers of Galileo's planet pack. And also there's like 6 of them now, so maybe, I think it's 6, not 7. I don't want to say the forbidden number, but I think there's 6 of them. Now, we don't have any solar panels yet, so this probe will eventually die in orbit and run out of power. But it should have enough electric charge to last us for a decent amount of time. Well, of course, we do need power to transmit the signs, but thankfully we have a whole lot of that lying around. I also do have some antennas. Those are what those little knobs on the fuel tank are for. Yeah, with that, our first successful orbital mission, we can unlock some more science experiments and more rocket parts to propel our space program to further heights. Now, Blue Dot Design Bureau actually adds a whole lot of extra science experiments, which are actually really useful, especially for this tech tree. I guess that's another reason why Blue Dot Design Bureau is a kind of a soft dependency for gradual progression tech tree. Just because without all those science experiments, you'll probably have a hard time getting science. I should also mention that I think I'm playing at 80 or 90% science, so I will be getting slightly less science than I usually would. I just feel like I want to add a little bit of extra difficulty because I've played KSP science mode a whole lot of times. Like, I haven't started playing KSP science mode seriously until like the start of last year, I think. Because before that, I always start a science playthrough, but I wouldn't explore the entire system. I just stop playing and then start a new save file. Like, the first save file I would say I completed was my one I started last year, the beginning of 2025, when I completed the stock system and then explored the Kerbal system fully. Then after that, I played JNSQ. Then I had a break where I played Celestial Harmony, and then I actually started a new save file where I did KSP Resurgence, which still is going on right now. Thankfully, this series won't actually kill Resurgence. Resurgence will still receive new episodes. In fact, I do have a couple of videos in the content backlog ready to be edited. And I actually did resume recording after taking a brief break of recording, so Resurgence isn't dead, it'll just run in parallel with Wayfinders here. By the way, I actually decided to use the name Wayfinders thanks to a poll I had on my Discord server, so if you'd like to see craft files and polls and gameplay sneak peeks, I suggest you join my Discord server. The link is in the description. Now that I actually have my this proper start to the series, I might actually start having Kerbal Applications open for this series, though I might want to wait on that until I start doing some more crew missions. But then again, I'll probably have to start recording, so I should probably update my Kerbal name application form really quickly. Now, what I'm doing here is I'm trying to recover this, or at least get it to re-enter the atmosphere in hopes of recovering the biological sample experiment. Fortunately, at 2.5 times scale, everything burns a lot hotter when you re-enter the atmosphere because your orbital velocity is much higher. So, fortunately, this is the first fatality we've had in this playthrough. I mean, it's not a Kerbal fatality, it's just whatever creatures living inside the biological experiment. Rest in peace, whatever weird mystery goo creature is living inside there. Now, this is my little science doohickey I decided to assemble to get some extra science, so I'm able to get some more parts just so I can actually go further places. Now, Kerbals in this series, I don't unlock EVA jetpacks until a little later, so EVAs are going to be a little difficult, but I'm not going to be launching a Kerbal for a little bit amount of time, just because I still lack the parts and resources to launch a Kerbal. I don't even have any proper command modules. The only thing I have is like the Vostok Making History DLC command pod, and that's a little I mean, it'll work, but I'd rather wait until I get the Mercury command capsule. Now here we are with Helios, well not Helios, you know, Icarus 3, the third series of the Icarus rockets. Now I actually did replace the center stage with a more powerful engine, just because the one I had previously was a very weak engine that really couldn't propel this too fast. Now these rockets are going to be very, very simple because, especially with these really small tanks, because I don't unlock better tanks until quite a bit later, because unlocking the larger tanks, like the 2.5 meter and 1.875 meter tanks, are somewhat expensive. I think I might unlock them later this episode, but I'm not quite sure. I can't remember if I can't remember my recording sometimes when I'm doing the voiceovers. You know, this was an attempt at getting a heavier probe and actually recovering. This was an attempt to recover a space probe. I was trying to get this into orbit, but unfortunately I didn't have enough fuel. So I did have to only do a suborbital mission. Thankfully I was able to recover this space probe with ease. Another thing with 2.5 scale is that heat shields are essential. You don't want to end up like that space... without heat shields, you end up like a Icarus 2 and burn up in the atmosphere. Heat shields still do a great job, because you can enter like Kerbin at like 10,000 meters per second, and a heat shield would just do fine in keeping you safe. Heat shields are kind of overpowered in stock scale, but like 2.5 scale makes them a little bit more balanced. But I feel like it makes space planes harder just because they don't really have heat shields. I mean, there are mods that add wrapper heat shields, but those really aren't the same. You still have to cover the wings and like some other parts that aren't really supported by those wrapper heat shields. I really wish there was a mod that added procedural heat shields that could cover any craft and they actually look good. I mean, I'd love to make that, but like I'm not an experienced mod developer at all. Like the best I did was make configs for gradual progression tech tree, and like anyone can do that. All you gotta do is like define a part and put it in the right tech node. It just takes a while because of all the parts you might have to add for a specific mod. Now I believe that these are the Thalia rockets, which are basically like an attempts at lunar flybys. So basically, in Galileo's planet pack, Gale has 2 moons, those being Iota and Seti. Iota is the closest moon. It's very white and actually resembles candy. It's kind of a running joke that all the science experiments have, how Iota looks delicious, if I recall correctly. Kind of similar to the whole Mingness mint ice cream joke. We also have Seti, which looks partially digested. It's a somewhat pinkish brownish moon. It's a little bit more further out though, and a little harder to reach because of its very high inclination. Now, once again, I should also mention that this space center is also somewhat inclined, so whenever we launch, we never get into a polar orbit. I mean, not a polar orbit, equatorial orbit. A polar orbit would be very inefficient. You know, these engines, I believe they're called the Alpha engines, are like really basic upper stage engines with a pretty low ISP, but for our purposes they actually work really well and provide a whole lot of delta V. Well, we are using a much lighter payload, that being a probe rather than a Kerbal. So I guess that's why we have more delta V than I would expect with 200 seconds of ISP. Now, since we are on a somewhat high inclination, we do have to goof around a whole lot with the maneuver node editor just to get a good encounter with Iota. And also, I did unlock some better probe cores to unlock SAS. Unfortunately, we only have basic stability assist and can't actually do anything like prograde or retrograde maneuvers, so I'll have to do all that manually. But I appreciate the challenge. You know, we didn't exactly get an encounter with Iota that first time, but we have just enough fuel to do a very, very cheap mid-course correction. I want to make sure we get pretty nice and close to Iota just so we can get signs from space high and space low. Maybe wondering what those weird those things sticking out of the spacecraft are. They're like some weird gravitational thingies that's supposed to aid in stability assist. I'm not sure how they work, but they're from Blue Dog Design Bureau. They also look kind of cool, I have to say. Not sure if they actually... Also, the stability assist they do add actually doesn't require electricity, which is really useful because I'm not sure we have solar panels at this point. Yeah, I don't think we've unlocked solar panels yet. I don't see any on the spacecraft. I'm also using the Calm Nebula Skybox, since I don't believe Galileo's planet pack comes with the Skybox. I'm not using the Skybox in KSP Resurgence because Celestial Harmony comes with its own Skybox, so I'm using that one instead. So this playthrough will be using this Skybox. Now we are able to gather a whole lot of science, but unfortunately we aren't able to transmit all of it because I didn't pack enough batteries on this. Maybe the Kerbal Space Center should start investing in some kind of solar panels or some other way to generate electricity so we can keep these probes alive. Thankfully, I was able to get quite a bit of science from this small little probe alone. With gradual progression tech tree, getting a Kerbal into orbit is a lot harder, so I believe in this episode I won't be able to do that. But I am able to do some moon flybys with these very basic probes. So with all that science, I'm able to unlock solar panels and some other technologies, which is better engines. Because the engines I have are very, very basic, so I can't really do too much with them. I also really do want to unlock some better construction, because you need construction nodes in order to unlock better fuel tanks. But unfortunately, that will be the end of this episode. I hope you enjoyed watching it, and I'll see you all in the next one.